Well, thank you all for being here for our editorial roundtable, and thank you to DMTI Spatial, our sponsor, for hosting us here today. So I thought we'd start off with just a brief overview from each of your lines of business about what you see location intelligence as being. What is your definition of location intelligence, location information?
It's about the right message at the right place at the right time. Those are the three ingredients to success across email marketing and mobile marketing. If we get the right message, it's really great. If we get it at the right time, it's really great. But if we're not in the right place, then we often fail. So the location part of it actually ends up being important because we need all three things. We need the hat trick, so to speak, in order to close the conversion.
I tend to think of location intelligence as linking data sources with a geography. So to me, the location intelligence could be various points, economic, psychographic, demographic, even internal sales, etc., can all be linked to geography, and that gives us the intelligence about a particular place or a particular area.
All these things where you share information and engage information online, Canadians are up there in the top 5 globally. So using that relevance of what in the network around me, no different than the house down the street is doing, I'm more influenced about the people that I connect with, either through Twitter or Facebook or those types of things. So I think that's where another location specific is going to go.
So you were talking about site location analysis, which is, where do you put those stores? But the other aspect is merchandising. What do you put in the stores to reflect the local community?
Now a ton of people are opening emails on their mobile devices. So when we plot where you locate, and you might live here or here or here or here or here or here, or here because you're walking around checking emails on your device. So we don't know what you might be closest to 7 different Loblaw stores. We can't figure it out. So that ends up being a challenge.
You've added something to your cart, then you leave, and you don't buy it. Do we send you an email that says, you forgot this in your cart? That's a little creepy, that kind of stuff. It converts off the charts.
Off the charts,
People
100%.
We turned it on, and it was a 20 to 30x conversion rate of just someone coming to the site. So we do it nightly as a batch feed, etc. for now. We're not doing it every hour, but there's even more information of you're on the site, an hour later you get the email, hey, you forgot to buy this.
Where I look at creative is like, wow, I should have thought of that. Why didn't I think of that? That was not clever, but that's a creative way of looking at the data. That's a creative way of looking at your social profile to execute a campaign against social to make relevant to that KLM customer. Engagement, the brand experience is elevated to a higher level just by doing that. So that was creative, sitting in a room, coming up with new ideas that no one else has looked at.
We work with a sports retailer, and using location data, they didn't have much data, so we basically got email address and first name. And then using location data, I figured out what Canadian city you were in, and from that, during the playoffs, what sports team you were probably cheering for. The deal was, if you check back to that email tomorrow, depending on what happened in the game, if your team won or lost and what happened in the game, that ad would regenerate, and if a certain player scored 2 goals last night, all of a sudden you saw a promotion for that guy's jersey 10% off. The results from that kind of dynamic campaign that was changing based on what was happening in the game, the sales went through the roof because you couldn't have gotten more relevant, and we had that emotional connection, and we did that all by figuring out, well, you're in this, you're here, so you probably like this. Except for when the Leafs lost, and then everyone was in a state of depression. So that was no one bought anything. That was just that day was a write-off. But aside from that day when the Leafs lost, that campaign using location data was amazingly successful.
So these banks that you talk about that are on the corner, now there are about 5 or 6 different services under the same roof. It's becoming more of a destination, not just a place to get your groceries. And I think that's the continuous evolution too, I think, is the offering of service, and it becomes more of a place I'm going to happen to stop, not just a place I go to get groceries.
You cannot just keep doing the same thing. You have to continually keep up to date with what's happening in the market and how you're interacting with the customers, because what worked yesterday isn't going to work today.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that. The location is what's going to trigger the message. And that's coming. It's not here yet, but certainly when we talk about location data, often we talk about big data at the macro level, but zooming down to the micro level where I'm on aisle 4 at my local Loblaws, so I'm seeing Cheerios ads.
I have an email ready to go on Sunday, depending on what the weather's like in Ontario. I do. I absolutely do. And it's because I have an amazing opportunity to offer amazing sunglasses. But if it's not sunny in Southern Ontario on Sunday, that's not going out at 8 a.m. But if it's raining, I have another email ready to go.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your time and your input. This was great.
Thank you. It's interesting.